welcome to another video, this time featuring the Black Mage No Before opener, which is or has been invented by the Balance. Some people around the Balance have invented this. I'm not sure who exactly, but definitely props to the people of the Balance. They do a great job at explaining those rotations inside of their guides, inside of their written guides, or yeah, when you take the time to meet them in person, they're really helpful and trying to do the best to help you learning certain things about a certain job. First of all, thank you for your amazing feedback on the last video, on the Red Mage video, because that really helps me getting some soul into that format, and I'm trying to improve that because many of you did like the spontaneous or the fluent, or yeah, at least trying to have this as fluent as possible. And yeah, I hope that with every execution, with every video, I improve my fluent spoken English and my presentation of these job guides or job rotations. Okay, let us start with the No Before opener, but just before that, let's talk about gearing just a short moment. As you can see inside the video, I'm showing kinda a very critical hit and direct hit focused build, but yeah, due to the heavy overmelding, you can also see that I'm having quite a nice value of spell speed. And however you go, this gear is completely focusing on the stats that I need as Red Mage or Summoner, because I share these gear pieces, because yeah, they are used to Summoner and Red Mage primarily, and I don't want to create two sets for Black Mage as well, because that is just heavily expensive, you know that. Even that has some gil at its backside, it's really expensive, and I don't want to do that because I know that critical hit builds and direct hit builds are not too bad for the Black Mage, as long as you're just hitting that. Yeah, 2k spell speed is actually very nice, so you don't need much more than that if you're not running a full spell speed build, which favors every slot, every meld into spell speed. I guess that you can perfectly use this 2k spell speed, but at least get to the 1.4 schedule threshold spell speed. That is really a good point to start with, and you have no issues in performing your rotation actually, which yeah is kind of difficult in raid mechanics. Okay, nonetheless, let us start into the rotation. Of course, we have something pre-pull that is important to prepare, and that is our sharp cast. I guess that you should just orient yourself, or take that as a key break point or key point, that you use this at around 10 seconds. At the 10-second pre-pull mark, exactly would be the 12-second mark, but as it is not displayed properly, and I guess I am always hitting that close to that 10-second mark as well, it's no problem to just use or take this 10-second pre-pull countdown mark as the signaler for your Sharpcast. Sharpcast will make your next Thunder or Fire spell turning into their proc versions, or yeah, unlocking these procs that you have a chance for proccing with each spell of those Fire 1 or Thunder 3. That of course takes the AoE versions into account as well, but yeah, we're not talking about the AoE right now. It's just for single target optimization. And please, like always, I can only recommend to just check out your tooltips. They are so helpful, and if you don't know what each spell does exactly, please check them out in your tooltips, or yeah, visit some of my guides, visit the Balance. I think most of those spells are explained properly in all these guides, so check out these guides first and then return to this video for learning about what you're doing with these spells and in which order you shall perform them. Okay, so No Before, what we're talking about, that is no Blizzard 4. That means in each Umbral Ice phase you're supposed to use a Blizzard 4 spell, because Blizzard 4 will give you these Umbral Hearts that allow your fire spells to cost less MP, and this will definitely increase your uptime during the Astral Fire phase, which is your burst opportunity or your damaging phase, while the Umbral Ice phase is your MP recovery or getting things right phase, kinda, where you reapply your Thunder Dot if you're not having a certain proc at a certain time. And most of the times, if you're not needing them for movement, then you're using your Xenoglossy procs in that moment, in that Umbral Ice phase. Our goal, normally, without the mindset of this Nobi 4 opener, would be to start with Blizzard 3, then pop up our Enochian, which allows us to cast Blizzard 4 and Fire 4, which are our main spells here, apply Thunder, then use Blizzard 4, then use Fire 3 to switch over to Astral Fire. But we're not doing that, because we're just skipping this Blizzard 4 and don't use a single Umbral Heart for the first Astral Fire phase, because it perfectly lines up with mana, font, and all our cooldowns to stay in that Astral Fire phase for quite a good while, and yeah, bursting out the insanely strong spells we have at our disposal. Whoever created that is really a genius opener. Much respect to the person that created this. This is really genius, and everything fits perfectly into that mindset of, yeah, not using Umbral Hearts for the first pull and smashing in our triple cast, swift cast, and all these cooldowns that are required to, yeah, kind of max out the time we have in Astral Fire and not losing that. Because losing means, if you're losing the timer, let me show you what timer I'm talking about. The timer here. All the time you're losing this timer, you're thrown out of the rotation, and this is really bad. This is something you should always avoid at any cost. And even if that happens, it's no problem. You can still continue to deal some damage. Just in my last live stream, I played the Black Mage in the first encounter of Eden's last raid, the normal version. No, it's the second fight, yeah. And I just fell out of the Astral Fire rotation on the first time because I kinda, yeah, had some issue with my opener, and I didn't do it properly. But I still could climb back up to around 21k DPS until I died. Then, of course, my DPS vanished or decreased a lot. But until that moment, I could climb up back into that good spot of DPS, and yeah, I think as Black Mage, it's really not a big deal to climb back up into solid DPS values. But yeah, stick to these as long as you're standing with the countdown here, or the timer inside of your Umbral Ice or Astral Fire phase, and use your tools to stay in there. But yeah, let us return to what we're starting. Yeah, we have the Sharp Cast running for 7 seconds, around 7 seconds, when the countdown is starting to the real fight. And at the 3 seconds mark, you're starting with Blizzard 3. Casting Blizzard 3 to get into that opener rotation, to prepare everything that is really required. Enochian is essential. You need Enochian, and if you lose Enochian, you lose that by also falling out of this timer. Always remember that. If you're falling out of your Astral Fire or Umbral Ice timer, you also lose Enochian. You have to rebuff that, reapply that. Then afterwards, we're using Thunder to... It's kind of quite very close here if you're using Sharp Cast right after the 10 seconds count, or before the 10 seconds mark of the countdown, because then it's really very close to get your Thunder 3 into that Sharp Cast timing. But I think this time it's not as close as it looks. We're still getting a very secure proc out of our Thunder 3. Now you can see we have the proc here, it's procced, and now comes the whole idea of the Nobi 4 opener. We're just hopping over Blizzard 4. We're not using it. We're just directly transitioning into the Astral Fire phase by using Fire 3. And as you can see, Fire 3 has a shorter casting time as it's causing a recast timer. That is very important for opening up space for OGCDs. You never want to weave OGCDs after a hard cast spell that will cause you or will allow you to cast another spell, where the cast timer and the recast timer are on the same spot, on the same level. But on the transition into your opposite phase, into from fire to ice and from ice to fire, with Fire 3 or Blizzard 3, both of these have a shorter cast time than its recast timer, causes a global recast. And in that spot, you can always weave one single OGCD. And the good thing about Black Mage, and especially in the Shadowbringers spells and abilities, is that you're able to use triple cast now. Triple cast will make your next 3 spells instant cast. This will also allow us to have more instant spells or have more time and more space to weave another OGCD. And we want to use as many OGCDs in the opener as possible because, using potions is an OGCD, a very long and annoying one because it's having a very heavy animation lag or input lag. It's weird. It's just weird. Using a potion is just weird. But yeah, we want to do that, and we need a whole OGCD, a whole free aftermath of a spell that is supposed to be an instant spell in this case. So yeah, we're having 3 times a spell ready for using another OGCD with that triple cast. So because this really is focused on optimizing and maximizing the best skills, or what your skills are able to do, now it's the time to use Swift Cast as well. Of course, we're using another Fire 4 in this time to start the damage, which is always recommended. You should always spam Fire 4 until your timer runs close to 3, 4, 5 seconds, whatever you think is secure for yourself. Then you will cast Fire 1 to reapply or reset the timer to its max duration. But more to that later. Just after that first Fire 4, we are using our potion, which is optional of course. Then we're using another Fire 4, and right after we have caused that recast timer, we're using ley lines. Now you may stumble over the problem, or the something that people are frequently asking inside of my rotation videos from the Black Mage. Why do we use ley lines when it's supposed to enhance our casting time, and we're actually in that spot we're using only instant cast by triple cast or swift cast? The reason is ley lines also decreases the recast timer we're forcing or recausing there. So when you're standing in the ley lines and you're using triple cast together with it, then you're still having the advantage of a very quick recast timer. So you're still pushing out more spells in that duration. And of course, ley lines stay there for quite a long while, so you will definitely have the casting advantage as well in that moment. But when we're talking about instant spells, the recast timer is actually your cast time as well. So it definitely improves this. It definitely improves this as if you would manually cast and hard cast the spell and getting boosted by ley lines. So this is the spot where we just want to squeeze out as much DPS as possible and try to get into that scheme of the No Before opener, which is really close to what it actually wants to do there. So after this, we're just continue spamming Fire 4s and use Swift Cast to still get or catch up some time, save us some time, because we need every second here. And as you can see, this is really close. You would never do this in the normal case of the Astral Fire spot or rotation, because this would be very close to fall out of this timer, and I would never risk that. But in the opener, it's perfectly working, and you should trust in what you're doing unless you have less than 1200 spell speed, which I really cannot recommend. So at least hit a solid spell speed value to get this No Before opener running. But in our case, it's no problem, because now we're just getting back this timer by Despair. Despair is your strongest fire spell, which depletes your MP completely, and you still need around 800 MP to cast it actually. But this time we're using it to just get the timer reset to the full duration and still stay in fire by using Mana Font. But let's see what we're doing there. We're just using the last Fire 4, and directly afterwards we're using Despair, and we can only do that because the ley lines increase the spell speed here. Otherwise this would be really close, very close, and especially when you have not enough spell speed, it can get even closer than that, or you could easily fall off the rotation, which is bad in this case. Or if you have movement or anything like that, or have missed 3 or 4 spells out of your ley lines because you had to move inside of a boss and counter, always note that it could be too close here, and you maybe just have to use Despair early on, or instead of the last fire we weaved, the Fire 4, you have to weave a normal Fire 1. That also extends the timer and yeah, deals less damage, but you still not fall out of the rotation and the timer. Okay, now is the key point here. Now is really the important thing that we had used Sharpcast pre-pull and weaved it, or generated a proc from Thunder 3, because we need that Thunder 3 as an instant spell to have space left for OGCDs. Of course, if we're not talking about fine-tuning, or you just want to know what we're actually doing there, we need to use Mana Font. And to make that working properly and clean, we want to have an instant spell before that, because it's an OGCD, and like I said, weaving in OGCDs after hard casting something is bad, because you could definitely hard cast another one after it, and when you're weaving in OGCDs, you would clip or delay the next spell there. So we're just using Mana Font right after. As you can see, Despair depletes our MP completely, but also resets the timer kinda close. As you can see, it's on the 1 second mark. It's really close, but I guess that the frequency of spell speed you need for this is not too harsh. You can really get this done with 1.5k spell speed as well, but maybe not go below that. The advantage is that the stuff from the Black Mage is always pushed up insanely nice or heavily with spell speed, so don't worry too much about that. So yeah, we're just depleting the MP with Despair, then use the free Thunder 3 proc we had caused by Sharpcast, and use Mana Font in the recast timer, and now we have more space left for another Fire 4. I'm always using Sharpcast in this spot. This may be not the perfect spot, but I think in the opener it's quite good to use it, because it's not close that we switch back into ice and use this proc again for Fire 3 for Thunder 3. So yeah, we're using the last MP we have, or we could squeeze out with the help of Mana Font here, and use Fire 4 last time, and finish off another Despair, because this really deals damage and resets the timer, so you don't need to worry about anything else. And yeah, as you can see, it's a nice damage there. And now, due to the 3 stacks of Astral Fire here, always when you have 3 stacks, the spell of the opposite, the 3 version, the Blizzard 3 or Fire 3, will have a very short casting time. So in this example, you could also use Sharpcast now by the recast timer that Blizzard 3 is causing. As you can see, we have, a short recast timer here. It's opened up right now because of the shorter casting time. And yeah, this will throw us back into Umbral Ice, and we will just try to get our MP back to maximum. And now it's also time to generate these Umbral Hearts for the next fire spells we cast, and that they're reduced, because this will definitely increase the counts of Fire 4s you can weave or cast in your Astral Fire. And you should always do this in the ordinary roundup. I actually never know when to get back into this opener when having Mana Font ready, because there are so many key things that have to interact with each other to make this happen. I just stick to this rotation for the whole fight now. I just use all my fire things and my fire force and keep that coming, keep that running, keep that rolling, and switch back to ice when I need MP. And as you can see, we're going through this right now. Blizzard 4, like I said, to generate these Umbral Hearts, you can cast that, by the way, without having MP. Inside of the procced Astral or Umbral Ice, you can use spells without having MP. And the ice spells especially, because they don't cost you anything. Thunder is different. Thunder needs and requires some MP, so sometimes if the proc or the server ticks do take too long, you have to wait for that Thunder proc a bit. But yeah, sometimes it's working. If you're about to close up these procs here, or the potions or some raid buff from your raid mates that are really pushing your DPS a lot. And also you got the proc of Xenoglossy. You get a Xenoglossy proc every 30 seconds. You're in these timers. You're running on these timers and you not drop them. So you can stick with them. You can save them for any movement situation. But in this case, because we're having the pod duration running and it's perfectly finishing up our opener, I highly recommend to use this single one at least. So we're just using Xenoglossy, and in the ordinary rotation, this would be a perfect spot as well to use Sharp Cast, because you can use Xenoglossy in the recast timer that it causes because it's an instant spell. You can use Sharp Cast to use this directly with the next Thunder spell that you then can cast after your next Fire 1 spell that you need to advance or extend your Astral Fire timer. Okay. So, as you can see, we're having potion running still, and I actually missed something. I could have used Thunder again, but due to the fact that we reapplied it just before that, we don't need it in this case, for example. But I highly recommend to normally do this because, yeah, we're using the last time of the potion here, but we also have a proc, so it's not too bad here. We just reapplied Thunder on this spot before using Xenoglossy actually. But normally I'm using Thunder after Xenoglossy. But yeah, so it's inside the potion window on the opener, but normally try to keep it after your Xenoglossy or whenever you think it's running off or close to being running off. Okay, now you're switching back into Astral Fire again and just spam as long as possible the Fire Force, or at least to get yeah, the least amount of Fire Force you should do is to get all the Umbral Hearts being procced here. And just go the safe way now. We have 7 or 6 seconds left when I started casting Fire 1, but it doesn't matter, you can easily do that because you can use the next Fire Force after it. Your goal is to always weave in or cast Fire for 6 of those. Fire for 6 times inside of the Astral Fire window. I don't know, if you have really crazy spell speed values, there may be more, or if you have procs from Fire 1 that proc your Fire 3, which is yeah, something that doesn't cost any MP, then it's really nice to do that. And as you can see, we're extending the timer now and using our Thunder proc right afterwards. And now we're just continuing in doing 3 Fire Force after this without any problem if you're not running into movement in your encounter. But yeah, you should always avoid moving around as Black Mage anyway, so don't worry too much. And of course, finishing off with Despair, it will keep our timer to expand or give us time to actually hop back into ice, because even when you transition, you need that timer running. Otherwise it will run off and you can't cast anything. It's really bad if that happens. So we're using Despair just at the finish of the Astral Fire phase, weaving in or casting some big numbers again, and yeah, then back into Umbral Ice, refreshing our MP, reapplying Thunder. As you can see, it runs off duration, and like I said, I'm using the Sharp Cast right after Xenoglossy because it opens up a space for OGCDs, and then we're reapplying our Thunder and switch back to Astral Fire. And to be honest, now we're having a triple cast proc that you should definitely use if you're not expecting any movement coming up next. but otherwise keep it. It's always more important to keep it and avoid being interrupted with your rotation on movement departments instead of just squeezing out the DPS now. But yeah, of course, this is a static rotation on a dummy. Of course, we're just using it whenever it's ready. And as you can see, extending the timer again with Fire 1, going into Thunder 3, using the last Fire Force on this spot, which should actually work 3 times. Let's see. I'm very curious right now. No, it's not 6 Fire Force all the time, because yeah, I just used 4 Fire Force before using Fire 1, I guess. And yeah, just do this as many of those as you can still use Despair afterwards to switch back into Umbral Eyes here. And that's it. That's mainly the point of it. And now you repeat this over and over again. There's quite a very little switch or yeah, twist when you're having Mana Fund, but it will just open up space and you will just stick to the natural thing of just using it after Despair, using another Fire 4 and using another Spare. In the best case, you will have a Thunder proc ready or Fire 3 proc ready to open up space for that OGCD. So try to just use Mana Font when there's any instant proc available. You can also use Xenoglossy there. That's perfectly fine as well. Okay, so much so good. Thank you for watching. I hope this explains the Nobi 4 opener a bit more or more in detail. I know this is a long video, but I think the Black Mage theory behind it is really not too easy, and especially when we need to squeeze out every detail on this opener, it's really important to know the things that you need to know here. So yeah, thank you for checking this out. I hope this helped you in understanding the Black Mage opener and the maybe basic rotation behind it and what you're doing in that basic rotation. And yeah, we will see more jobs coming out soon, and of course other topics and other videos as well. Thank you for your amazing feedback. Thank you for your endurance, your support over the last year. And yeah, stay safe until next time. Stay healthy. And like always, keep loving Final Fantasy.